ברוכים הבאים לפודקאסט של שפות-שלי, בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות. I'm your host, אריאל, כאן איתכם כרגיל. אם אתם פעם ראשונה מאזינים לפודקאסט שלנו, where have you been? איפה הייתם עד היום? אתם כאן בעצם ללמוד קצת אנגלית, לשמוע להוצאה מילים חדשים, אבל היום יש לנו כמה נושאים מרתקים. פודקאסט הזה היום יהיה בעיקר באנגלית. אם יש דברים שאתם לא מבינים, כמובן תרשמו לנו. אני אעביר פרטים בסוף הפודקאסט, ואנחנו תמיד נשמח לעזור. קודם כל, מי אנחנו? אנחנו בית ספר לשפות שמלמד אנגלית ועוד 8 שפות. אנחנו מלמדים כמובן שפה בשיטה מאוד מאוד חדשנית ובמובילה בעולם, וגם הכי חשוב, אנחנו מעבירים את זה בצורה הכי כיפית שיש. אז יאללה, בואו נתחיל היום. Hello and welcome everyone. I'm your host Ariel, and today we're diving into a topic that a lot of people feel awkward about. Yes, we are talking about the art of small talk. You might be thinking, why on earth do I need to master small talk? Isn't it just chit-chat about the weather and other mundane things? Well, that's a common misconception. In reality, small talk is an important social skill. And it's about much more than just the weather or your favorite sports team. Small talk is an opportunity to build connections, לפתח קשרים, to find common ground, and it's often the foundation for deeper conversations and meaningful relationships. It's a tool that helps us navigate social situations, from a workplace meeting to a friend's party or even a first date. I remember a time when I was at a business networking event. I was fairly new to the industry and I didn't know many people there. I spotted a senior executive from a firm I admired and I knew this was my chance to make a connection. What could I possibly say to him? I couldn't really dive right into a conversation about business strategies or market trends, right? You know, that's not really that appropriate. So this is where the small talk really came in. What I did was I approached him and we started talking about the event itself, the venue, the turnout, the food. This was something we were both experiencing, so it made for an easy conversation starter. We talked about other events we've been to, which naturally led into a discussion about our work. By the end of the evening, we had a meaningful conversation and gained a valuable contact in the industry. So you see, small talk isn't that trivial at all. זה באמת, זה מאוד מאוד חשוב בעצם. It's a stepping stone to bigger things, and today we're going to explore how you can master this important skill. Even if you're an introvert, even if you're not good at it at all. Some people are extremely introverted, but if you apply some of these techniques, you can get out there, do your small talk perfectly, and get speaking with confidence. So you see, small talk is very, very important for us all. So let's get started with the understanding and psychology behind small talk. Some people feel that small talk is superficial or even insincere, but in reality, it serves some very important social functions. Firstly, small talk is a great way to break the ice, לשבור את הקרח, and reduce social tension, מתח חברתי. Imagine walking into a room full of strangers. It can be quite intimidating, right? Intimidating is מפחיד, כנס לחדר מלא זרים. But what if someone approached you and said, wow, it's really hot outside, isn't it? Why is it ממש חם בחוץ? This might seem like a very trivial thing to say, but immediately breaks down a barrier. It's a shared experience that you can both relate to and makes you feel a bit more comfortable. That's the power of small talk. וכמובן בארץ עכשיו בקיץ יהיה חם מתמיד. Secondly, small talk helps to establish a connection. It's a way to find common ground. For instance, imagine you're at a social gathering and someone mentions they enjoy hiking. If you're a hiking enthusiast yourself, you immediately have a common interest that can fuel a deeper conversation. Small talk can be seen as a scanning tool to discover shared interests, values, or experiences. Now that we understand why small talk matters, let's talk about how to prepare for it. להיות מוכנים בהתאם. Preparation is key. It involves 3 main elements: research, mindset, and non-verbal cues. So I'm going to go through them again. What are your 3 main elements that you want to really work towards mastering small talk? Are research, מחקר, mindset, and non-verbal cues. Research is particularly important in certain contexts. like a job interview, a networking event, or הייתי אומר אפילו on a first date. The more you know about the person or the situation you're going into, it'll be easy for you to think of potential topics for small talk. לדוגמה, if you know that the person you're meeting loves art or אמנות, you might want to brush up on recent exhibitions or popular artists. Mindset is also crucial. If you go into a conversation thinking that small talk is boring or pointless, then, that's likely going to be the experience you're going to have. Instead, try to see small talk as an opportunity to learn something new or to build a connection. Be curious about the other person and be open to where the conversation might lead. And lastly, non-verbal cues. Body language, שפת גוף, plays a huge role in communication. אומרים שרוב ה-communication, קשר בין אנשים, הוא בעצם לא ורבלי בכלל. שפת גוף שלכם סופר חשוב. Be mindful of your facial expressions, your posture, and your gestures. Maintain eye contact, smile, and use open body language. This shows that you're engaged and interested in the conversation. אם אתה פתוח, אם אתה אומר שפת גוף שלך היא נעימה, פתוחה, מחבקת, אתה בעצם מראה שאתה מעוניין, אתה בתוך השיחה, you're immersed in the conversation. So up next, we'll be diving into some practical techniques, כמה כלים פרקטיים that you can use in your small talk, בכל סיטואציה. We're going to discuss some tried and true techniques for mastering small talk. These tools will help you navigate the sea of social interactions, whether you're networking in a social gathering or just making a conversation in a supermarket line. First and foremost, asking open-minded questions is a wonderful strategy. Okay, זה אחד מהאסטרטגיות הכי מגניבות, זה לשאול שאלות פתוחות. These are questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no. אי אפשר להגיד כן או לא, זו שאלה שהיא פתוחה, עוד מעט אני אביא כמה דוגמאות. They require a more detailed response and often lead to a more engaging conversation. For instance, instead of asking, do you like this event? You could ask, what do you think about this event? במקום לשאול, האם אתה אוהב את האירוע הזה, אתה יכול לשאול, מה אתם חושבים על האירוע הזה? Or what's been your highlight of the event so far? These questions invite the person to share their opinions and experiences, opening the door for a richer conversation. However, it's not enough to just ask questions. זה כמובן לא מספיק לשאול רק שאלות. You'd also need to be an active listener. Active listening involves truly focusing on the person speaking, understanding what they're saying and responding appropriately. תמיד אומרים, מי שהוא באמת מאסטר של הסמול טוק, זה אנשים שיכולים להקשיב ממש ממש טוב, להיות בתוך השיחה 100% בפוקוס עם הבן אדם. It's about showing genuine interest in what the other person has to say. So when someone is talking, try to stay present and resist the urge to think about what you're going to say next. אל תחשבו מה אתם הולכים להגיד הבא בתור, פשוט תהיו מורכזים 100% בשיחה. Nodding and maintaining eye contact and giving verbal affirmations like, I see, interesting, can also signal to the other person that you're actively engaged in the conversation. Next, there's the read and reciprocate technique. This involves picking up on the cues that the other person is giving you and responding accordingly. If they're sharing personal stories, feel free to share some of your own. If they're keeping things light and humorous and funny, you might want to crack a joke or two as well. This creates a sense of balance and a mutual exchange in the conversation. And lastly, but I wouldn't say most importantly, but this is very, very important, offer information. While questions are a great way to keep the conversation going, it's also important to share things about yourself. This doesn't mean dominating the conversation or oversharing, but offering tidbits, חלקים of information that allow the other person to get to know you better. Tidbits זה כמו highlights, חלקים קטנים כאלה. It could be something as simple as, I recently read this fascinating book about, or I've been trying to perfect my pasta recipe, and sharing information about yourself can invite the other person to share as well, fostering a mutual exchange of information. But what happens when you encounter difficult situations in small talk? מה קורה אם יש לך מצב שהוא קצת קשוח בסמול talk? Let's discuss those tricky situations that can sometimes arise. We've all been there, כולנו היינו שם, the dreaded awkward silence, השקט הזה, The conversation that veers into controversial territory, more פוליטיקה לדוגמה, or the need to gracefully exit a conversation. Let's discuss how to handle these scenarios. Dealing with silence can be one of the most uncomfortable parts of small talk. Silence isn't just an inherently a bad thing and can provide a break to process the conversation. But in small talk scenario, במצב של small talk, it can feel awkward. The key to dealing with silence is to stay calm and not rush to fill it. Take a breath, gather your thoughts, and then introduce a new topic. You can also use this moment to reflect on what the other person has said and ask a follow-up question. Remember, it's completely normal for conversations to have highs and lows, and occasional moments of silence are all part of the rhythm. יש קצב לשיחה, יש קצב מסוים. Next, what do you do if the conversation takes a wrong turn and heads into controversial or uncomfortable territory? This can often happen when topics like politics, religion, or personal matters come up. The key here is to gently steer the conversation in a different direction. אתם מנווטים את השיחה לאט לאט לכיוון שאתם רוצים. You can say something like, that's an interesting point, but I think that's a complex issue and might be a bit heavy for this occasion. How about we talk about, אז תביאו נושא חדש יותר קליל שבא לכם לדבר עליו. Then introduce a lighter, neutral topic to change the course of the conversation. Finally, knowing how to politely exit a conversation. לדעת גם לצאת בצורה נעימה ושיחה ומנומסת, זה חלק מאוד חשוב. This is an important part of mastering small talk. It's important to end the conversation on a positive note without making the other person feel dismissed, כאילו נפנפתם אותה. You can say something like, it was really nice talking to you, but I should mingle a bit more. Or, I promised I'd catch up with a colleague, but I've enjoyed our chat. So far, we've discussed the techniques and how to handle tricky situations. But how does small talk vary in different contexts? We're going to explore some various situations like in the workplace, social gatherings, and networking events. While the basic principles of small talk remain the same, the approach can change depending on where and with whom you are having the conversation. In the workplace, במקום עבודה, small talk helps build rapport and fosters a sense of community. תחושה של קהילה, קהילתיות. It's a great way to get to know your colleagues, את הקולגות שלכם on a more personal level. Here, the topics of small talk might include current projects, industry news, or even something as simple as weekend plans. However, do remember to keep it professional and appropriate. For instance, at a team meeting, you can start with something like, did anyone catch the latest episode of that popular show last night? אתם יכולים להגיד אפילו Black Mirror או משהו כזה, יצא עכשיו פרק חדש, אפיסוד חדש, עונה חדשה, אחד מהסדרות אהובות עליי, דרך מאוד מאוד קלילה ויפה גם לעשות small talk, גם אם זה בעניין המקצועי במקום עבודה. This can lighten the atmosphere and make everyone feel more at ease. Now let's move to social gatherings where small talk can range from casual conversation about shared interests, recent movies or books, travel experiences, or even food and drink preferences. These settings are usually more relaxed and the conversation can be more personal. Let's say you're at a friend's party and you meet someone new. פוגש מישהו חדש או חדשה. A good conversation starter could be, how do you know the host? Or have you tried the appetizers? They're fantastic. Networking events, on the other hand, often have a specific focus to connect and establish personal and professional relationships. Here, your small talk can be more targeted. You can talk about your work, ask about the other person's role, discuss industry trends, or even talk about the event itself. Remember, the goal is to establish a professional connection. So while the conversation can be friendly, it should ideally lead to a discussion about work or business. By understanding the context, you can tailor your small talk to be more effective and appropriate. And remember, the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. Next up, we'll be discussing how to practice small talk and some role play scenarios. We've talked a lot about the theory of small talk and its various contexts, but just like any skill, מכל כישרון, the best way to improve is through practice, להתאמן. So how do you practice small talk? One way is to seize daily opportunities. לקחת הזדמנות ברמה יומית, חייבים להתאמן על זה בצורה ממש מסודרת. Whether you're ordering coffee, riding an elevator with a neighbor, or attending a virtual meeting, there are plenty of chances to engage in small talk every day. Start with simple, low-pressure situations and gradually work your way up to more challenging ones. Role-playing is another effective method. You can do this with a friend or family member or even a mentor. Set up a scenario, for example, a networking event or social gathering. Take turns playing different roles. This allows you to practice your small talk skills in a safe and controlled environment. ואל תשכחו always לבקש feedback at the end of each role-play session. אז בוא ניקח שנייה דוגמה. Let's say the scenario is a friend's birthday party מסיבה של חבר, and you're role-playing with a friend, ואתם בעצם מחליפים תפקיד עם חבר, מנסים לעשות role-playing. Here's a potential small talk. Here's how a potential small talk conversation might go. אז אני אצטט כרגע, בוא נגיד, אתם מדברים, Hi, how do you know the birthday girl? חבר יענה, we work together. How about you? אתם תענו, oh, we went to college together. What kind of work do you guys do? חבר יענה, we are in graphic design field. I've been doing it for a few years now. אתם תענו, that's interesting. I've always been fascinated by the creativity in graphic design. What's your favorite part of the job? שימו לב, how the conversation starts with a light, open-ended question, then gradually delves into more specific topics. אנחנו מתחילים עם שאלה שהיא יחסית פתוחה, ואז מנתבים אותה להיות כמה שיותר מדויקת מבחינת הנושא. This allows both parties to share information and gradually build up a connection. Now, לפני שאנחנו מסכמים להיום, before we recap, שמתי לב that we haven't specifically talked about something that is very important to a lot of people in small talk, which is dating, העולם הדייטינג. Whether it's a first date or you're getting to know your partner better, small talk can play a pivotal role. In a dating scenario, small talk serves as a bridge to understanding the person on a deeper level. Here, your conversation topics can be more personal, but remember to keep it always light and comfortable. Ask about their interests, hobbies, favorite books, movies, or travel destinations. These topics can reveal a lot about a person's character, לגבי אופי של האדם שיושב מולכם, preferences, and כמובן lifestyle. For instance, if you're on a first date at a coffee shop, you could start with something like, I haven't been here before, but this place has a great vibe. Are you a regular? Or perhaps I noticed you ordered a cappuccino. Are you a big coffee enthusiast? Remember to balance between asking questions and sharing information about yourself. כמובן זה לא חקירה. This is not an interrogation, אבל כמובן שיחה. Share stories, experiences, and aspirations. לדוגמה, I recently took a cooking class and I learned how to make sushi. Have you tried something new recently? But also, כמובן, תכבדו תמיד את הגבולות. אם אתם רואים שזה לא זורם, if your date seems uncomfortable with the topic, shift the conversation towards something else. תמתו את השיחה למשהו אחר. It's about mutual comfort. הנוחות צריכה להיות תמיד הדדית. And it's not just about knowing each other's life stories in one go. Remember, while small talk in dating might seem nerve-wracking, it's also pretty exciting and enjoyable. It's a first step in understanding the person you're with and fostering a connection that could potentially turn into a meaningful relationship. So to summarize, here's what we've learned today about mastering small talk. אני אסכם לנו ככה במהירות מה אנחנו למדנו היום. Firstly, we discuss why small talk is important. It's a way to break the ice, reduce social tension, and establish a connection. Small talk is an essential social tool, whether you're networking at a social gathering, in the workplace, or on a date. Then we delved into the preparation for small talk, הבחנה, highlighting the importance of research, mindset, and non-verbal cues. Research helps you understand the context and the person you're speaking to. Mindset affects how you approach the conversation. And non-verbal cues can greatly enhance the effectiveness of your communication. אני לא יכול לציין לכם כמה זה חשוב. אנחנו אולי נעשה פרק רק על לדבר שפת גוף. שפת גוף, יש הרבה תקשורת שאתם מעבירים כשמדברים בן אדם, שהוא בעצם 80% רק שפת גוף, לפני שאתם אפילו פותחים את הפה. In the technique section, we discussed asking open-ended questions, שאלות פתוחות, לא שאלות שאפשר לענות עליהן כן או לא, being an active listener, לשמוע ממש בצורה אקטיבית, reading and reciprocating, and offering information. These are key strategies to keep the conversation flowing and engaging. We also tackled difficult situations that may arise during small talk, such as awkward silences, controversial topics, and a need to exit a conversation. The key takeaways here are to stay calm during silences. להיות רגוע, אפילו אם השיחה נהיית שקטה, להיות רגוע. Gently steer away from uncomfortable topics and always end the conversation on a positive note. תמיד לנסות לסיים בצורה חיובית. The context of small talk was also discussed, underscoring how the setting can influence the approach and topics of your conversation, whether it's a workplace, a social gathering, a networking event, or a date. Tailoring your small talk to suit the situation can make it a lot more effective. Finally, we emphasize the importance of practice. להתאמן. You know, there's a saying in English which says practice makes perfect. By seizing the daily opportunities and role-playing, you can hone your small talk skills and become more comfortable in various social situations. Remember, small talk is just the beginning. זה רק התחלה, זה הפתיח. והפתיח הכי חשוב. It's a stepping stone to a deeper, more meaningful conversation. So the next time you find yourself in a small talk scenario, don't shy away. Embrace the opportunity, apply these techniques, and you might be surprised at where the conversation leads. And this wraps up today's episode on mastering small talk. Thank you for listening and tuning in כרגיל. I hope you find this topic and this discussion helpful. אם יש לכם שאלות, פידבק או נושאים שאתם רוצים שאנחנו נדבר בפרקים הבאים, בבקשה צרו איתנו קשר. יש לכם כמה אפשרויות. באימייל info@שפות-שלי.co.il, במספר פלאפון 053-550-1976. אנחנו זמינים כמובן גם בוואטסאפ, מוזמנים לכתוב לנו תמיד, נשמח לשמוע מכם. ואם יש לכם דברים שאתם רוצים שאנחנו נשתף, או יש דברים שאתם לא הבנתם, תמיד מוזמנים ליצור איתנו קשר, וגם כמובן לברר על השירות שלנו, הקורסים המדהימים שאנחנו מציעים כאן. We're here to inspire, to teach, and always keep learning. So until next time, keep the conversation going and make sure to implement as much small talk as you can. Specifically, אם אתם לומדים אנגלית, אתם נוסעים לחו"ל, use your small talk. This is an amazing way to get yourself, putting the theory into practice and making major stepping stones. אז שיהיה לכם שבוע מוצלח, תמשיכו תמיד ללמוד, להשאיר את עצמכם, and succeed, make your goals come true, make your dreams a reality. שיהיה לכם שבוע נפלא, אני אריאל, אנחנו נתראה כאן שבוע הבא.